Okay, here's part 2 of our body weight workout series where first one we saw Kim showing us some simple exercises to do, a little circuit of about 5 or 6 exercises. So this time we've got the harder versions of those, so where Nathan's going to take us through this now. So in the first one we started off with the squat. This time we're going to start off with the lunge. So the lunge is a little bit more difficult because there's obviously a left and a right. It will take a bit longer to do. A lot of people really struggle with the lunge more so than the squat, so as a body weight exercise. So the good technique, as Nathan just demonstrated then, is just trying to keep everything sort of in a nice parallel sort of version. So when he's down at the bottom there, you see he has really good control of his core and his hips. He has good mobility, and you're basically looking for that right angles. You know, if you can do that, you know, you're really prepared to handle load and do a lot more difficult sort of movements from it. But you know, someone who's not used to doing this can be very, very tiring. So it's a great one to follow up from part 1 and the squat, where you've got a little bit of a different one, and then you'll see in part 3 a much more difficult version again. All right. So once we've done the squat, the lunge, then we can move on to the next one. And now this one's the only time that we probably need to find equipment is with pulling things. And we've got a barbell set up here, but obviously most people don't have that in their home. So you know, you could do it like around it. Most sporting grounds have a fence, and you can find a fence like this that you could do this from, or a playground. There's things in the playground you can do it. You can even do this with a really strong table. You can hold on to the edge of the table. Just make sure it's quite strong to do so. But the way this works, this is where you're really building some strength into the upper back region. All right, so you just sort of got your legs out straight, keeping your core nice and strong, and you're pulling yourself up in a straight line. So as you can imagine, it's just exactly the opposite of the push-up. And like I was saying, it builds some really good strength into the biceps, the forearms, but mostly the upper back region, which is where, you know, that's the real challenge with body weight. You can't really do it without holding on to something. Like chin-ups would be another version, but that's a very difficult and advanced one. So for that intermediate person, I would prefer this inverted row. All right, so I gave you a few examples of how you could get around the equipment side of things. So once you've done that, then you could try the next one, which is a step up. So this is pretty easy to find equipment for this. All you really need to do is you could find some sort of a retaining wall to stand on in your backyard, perhaps. You know, you could go down to the local school again. Like if you're in the playground, there's plenty of things you can stand on. You know, you can find a box. There's plenty of things that you could use to challenge you. So again, this is a very deceptively tiring exercise. So as much as it's about leg strength, you'll find that the speed of the movement on this creates a bit of a fitness element to it, which you would not have seen with the other ones as yet. So this one is known for getting people quite puffed out. Next one we're going to show you is a lateral lunge. So we saw the forward lunge, and this is the first time of all the exercises where we're moving in a lateral. Lateral just means sideways, so we're moving in a different direction. And again, a lot of people struggle with the coordination and the timing of this one. This one is a great one. Obviously, it's a bit of a stretch for the adductors. So the adductors are the groin muscles on the inside there, but really it's about the strength of the glutes and finding the good bent over position, which sort of leads to deadlifting. All right, so this one is a good one for anyone playing sports as well. But you know, for the beginner, this is really builds into a different sort of skill set that'll really pay off dividends later on when they want to do really tricky stuff. So another deceptively hard exercise, and one most people struggle with in the beginning. All right, so then once we've done that, we'll sort of move to the floor and do some different exercises down on the floor. So we saw Kim showing us the push-ups last time, so the females might have started with the kneeling one. Now they can move into the on the toes. So you may not get a lot to start with. The blokes could it's really like the same as what they did in level 1, but they might be able to just get a lot more out. Again, it's such a simple exercise, the push-up, but just so powerful in all the things it can do for you. So one that I would always try to keep in every workout pretty much. Once we've done that, then we can move into a different one again, where Nathan's going to demonstrate, and this is the first time we'll see the single leg stance in a standing position. Last time we saw Kim showing us as a hip extension lying on the floor. this time, now we see balance for the first time become a real problem. A little bit in the lunge earlier, but nowhere near to the degree of this one. So this is where Nathan's demonstrating it more as a single leg deadlift. All right, so you can see here he's got to keep his back in that nice, perfect position there, and then really bending through the hips. So this is, for that stance leg, this is really bringing in a huge amount of activity into the glutes. All right, so quite a tricky exercise, this one, to get right. You know, most people will really find this quite challenging to even just stand on one leg, let alone move like that. So Nathan makes it look pretty easy. You know, so a nice little one that you probably might have even done it earlier than the lunge. You might have done this one first, even if you find it really hard to do. All right, so a great exercise to get right. And if and you'll find this set the scene for the next workout that we're about to show you. All right, so I hope you've enjoyed all those exercises and you can use them at home, and and we'll see you on part 3.